It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott's here. Mary Jo Foley's here. A big Microsoft event coming up in a couple of weeks, April 5th. What will they announce? Mary Jo Foley has some thoughts. Yes, that was the Windows source code that got leaked. Microsoft admits it. So what? And Edge 100 coming your way. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly. Stay here.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 769, recorded Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. The insects are winning. Windows Weekly is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Give your team an engaging IT development platform to level up their skills. Volume discounts start at 5 seats. Go to itpro.tv/windows and make sure to mention WW30 to your designated IT Pro TV account executive to get 30% off or more on a business plan. And by Intel, orchestrated by the experts at CDW to deliver increased performance with the built-for-business 11th generation Intel Core V Pro processor. Learn more at cdw.com/Intel client. And by Progress. Progress has the technology you need to secure, analyze, and integrate your applications, network, and processes. Find out more and download a free trial at progress.com/twit. Hello, Dozers! It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we cover the latest news from Microsoft with Paul Thurrott. He is the Admiral Akbar of Windows Weekly. To him, it's all
a trap.
It's all a trap. Thurrott.com. There's a Wookiee in Mary Jo Foley's image because that Wookiee is Sriracha the cat. Mary Jo Foley from allaboutmicrosoft.com. Hello, you two.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Leo.
Happy spring.
Yes.
Did you have spring-like weather on the East Coast this week?
Yeah.
We did,
It's been kind of
and
warm.
now we don't.
Now it's cool
Yeah.
again? Oh.
It's cooling
Well, spring is unpredictable.
off. It is. Yep.
Every day I walk
But-
out, it's 38 degrees in the morning when we walk the dog, and I look at
Wow.
my phone and I say, hey, it's 62 degrees in Mexico City. Why are we here again?
We're not getting that much cold weather here, but yeah.
Paul has a place, in Mexico City, so everybody's invited down there.
Well,
Live
let me
studio
finalize
audience
that
and
before we
stuff?
start setting up a schedule. But
In the penthouse, we take it over. We have
I
a
really
live
want that
audience.
penthouse so badly. Oh, man.
I
I
meant,
am just so tempted.
I meant to tell you, when I first got back, I had flown the day before, and I maybe seemed a little downbeat about what was going on.
You were a little, I don't know if you were
You
tired.
were.
Yeah,
You
you
were
got to.
down.
So there was a bunch of things going on at the time. First of all, we were getting on the plane to come home and found out that the wire transfer we didn't go through, and there wasn't
God.
anything we could do about it until we got home.
Oh, man.
I had to deal with the fraud department at the Citizen Bank or whatever it's called
that's not fun.
that morning.
Yeah.
And my wife had a little health scare as well.
Oh,
that morning,
shoot.
And not to
Oh,
get too
no.
far into that,
Everything's
but everything's
okay?
fine.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah, but I
No
was a
wonder
little
you were
shell-shocked
glum.
that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little shell-shocked. So everything's good. We figured out the wire transfer. Everything's fine with my wife.
Good.
The fraud department has called 18 times now, but I think they're finally catching on.
Is this the hacker known as Paul Thurrott?
Yeah. We noticed you're moving money in $25,000 increments every day. And,
Yeah, well, they have to
we're
report
curious.
it. Yeah, they have to report that to the feds. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
in fact,
I keep
my
telling him
bank.
what it is, and I keep telling him, when we hit a certain number, it's going to stop. So,
Yeah. So they won't let you do the whole amount, just 25,000
no,
at a time.
and that's on them. And I'm
hysterical.
like, guys, if you let me do the whole thing, I would have done it
Then
once.
you could call me once. Yeah.
Yeah,
My bank just got in trouble with the feds
for not doing this.
for not complying with the reporting. I think they got a pretty big fine too, USAA.
Good.
Yeah. Because they're supposed to.
Guys, I'm like, listen, I'm moving money to Mexico. What's the problem? It's just,
No big deal.
as people do who are drug dealers.
Yeah, $140 million fine they got from FinCEN.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why Citizens is taking it pretty damn seriously.
Yeah.
That's nothing to mess around with. They want to know. So, and somebody sending huge amounts of cash to Mexico is sort of a red flag. I'm thinking.
I feel like I've been really transparent about it. I don't understand.
Anyway, more importantly, is the penthouse still available?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
I'll just, I'll save solve the problem. I'll just bring a suitcase with $40,000.
So actually, oddly enough, you would think in Mexico this would not be an issue. You can't do that in Mexico. You cannot pay for things with cash.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They only accept very small. I think it has to be under 10 grand in cash. The rest of it has to be a wire transfer or a check or what.
Well, now that USA is reporting to FinCEN, I don't think I'm going to buy anything.
I seem surprisingly knowledgeable about financial transactions in Mexico all of a sudden.
You are an expert. That's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about Notion. No, we're not here for that either.
Well, we can, though, because Notion is great.
Isn't it? So Paul and Mary Jo have been using OneNote all this time to share their notes, to collaborate, to share them with me and Micah. And
by the way, sorry to interrupt. And Mary Jo and I have, I want to say 12 years of notes or something in OneNote. And Mary Jo will remember this like I do. Whenever they announced OneNote originally, probably back in the Office 2003 timeframe, maybe. Long time ago when they announced OneNote, I remember saying to them, like, I don't understand why you made this product. It's very specifically something I need. But it doesn't seem like there's a big market for this kind of thing. But of course, students, whatever.
Right.
I loved OneNote, and I don't know what happened to it exactly, but.
So when I remember, I used to use Evernote. When Evernote was a continuous scrolling paper tape. Remember that? Yeah. And then they eventually changed. But then OneNote did the same thing, which was a continuously scrolling note. And I loved it.
Well, being, what's the word I'm trying to say that is appropriate for a general audience? Being the type of organized human being that I am, I liked the ability in OneNote to be like year.
You prefer the hierarchical.
I like that kind of thing. And, we're doing that now in Notion, of course. But
Notion will let you do whatever you want, of course.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
Including, by the way, put a picture from the penthouse in Mexico City and a little glass
I can put a picture from the penthouse in there. You want me to do that?
Reposado, sure. It's a block-oriented note-taking program. It's web-based, which is kind of...
Guys, this is going to be distracting. You guys are going to play with the notes all show. I'm like, things are showing up and disappearing. There was a dynamite stick at one point. I'm like, what is happening?
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
like watching the notes. I'm like, what is happening right now in the notes?
But notice how fully collaborative
I just want to use Notepad. I just need text. I don't understand
guys, I want text. You know what? I don't want anything. Just the text right there.
So...
Text.
When is Loop coming out? Because this is, Microsoft has decided to kind of clone Notion, which is.
So you know what? I bet more and more I'm thinking about this. I bet they announce Loop the app at this Windows
this thing coming
work
up.
event thing.
You bet.
I bet.
Of course they do. Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That makes sense
because it's only available in some sort of limited preview
it is.
now.
It says components, right? It's the Loop components and Teams are there. But then you're going to have the Loop components in Outlook and OneNote. That's the next thing. And the app, they never gave us a date for it. They just said, we'll tell you more about the date for the whole app in the early part of 2022. I'm like, I bet it's going to be at that event.
Interesting.
Well, and it's the same idea, right? They call it a flexible canvas with portable components.
It is. They even use the word canvas. That's how similar it is.
Yeah.
It looks just like Notion pretty much.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, and, there are lots of Notion-like things out there.
I know. You can't say they can't clone another app. That's not illegal, right? As long as you put your own spin on it.
Yeah, right,
yeah. What it also reminds me a little bit of is a short-lived product from Google called Google Wave. The idea was you were able to put in these components, collaborate with these components, and the components would be, that looks so much like Notion. Oh, my God.
But in their defense, it only is exactly like Notion. No, I mean, it's
It is.
Microsoft has a lot of components they can add to this, like they do for Teams, right?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
It's just a framework
honestly,
for lots of little plugins.
This makes sense within
Yeah.
the Microsoft world,
Yeah.
I think.
You could put
It
your
does.
Outlook calendar in it, and you could put.
It's a
SharePoint.
To me, it's a little. It
is
is.
a
It's like SharePoint. Yeah. I think SharePoint's the back end on this thing.
Of course,
right?
that would make
sure it
sense.
is.
Yeah. But what I don't fully grasp, and maybe I will once I use Loop, is I feel like a lot of the things they're showing you can do in Loop, you can do it in Teams too, right?
Yes. By the way, that's okay. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? So how do you decide which one you want?
Ultimately, remember this whole theory that was like 20 years ago now with document-centric computing.
Oh, yeah.
I
That was
think-
Windows 95.
Yeah, I think that's actually what we're still going back to, which is this idea of you work in a document, and you might have a Teams plug little thing there.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a call going on. You might have
That's right.
Right.
and then so it makes sense. It would be kind of everywhere, and it's little bits of everything, and it should be everywhere
is-
you work.
Teams is a new way of communicating with the people you work with, whether they're inside your organization or outside, right? And
Right.
it in the beginning, it was like, well, wait a minute, are we going to get rid of email now, or is this something that works alongside it? And I think honestly, over time, we sort of transition to this. Teams becomes the thing, and I think this is that for document collaboration.
Yeah.
Like Leo said, whether it's we used to use Word or Excel or PowerPoint or in our case OneNote. This kind of is a modern kind of take on all of that stuff in a way. Not that you're going to be doing hardcore spreadsheets or whatever.
Right. No.
But you can
But you
create
know-
a document and then share it to the web
Yeah.
from here. Like we
Right.
could publish our
Right.
notes to the web directly
That's
if
true.
we wanted to.
True.
It's interesting.
I feel like there's a lot of overlap also between the Loop app, as they've shown it, and Microsoft Whiteboard. Like, to me, those two things are very similar
Yeah.
also, right? Like you're working as a team in a shared space. People are putting things there. You can see who's putting what, when, where. So it's almost like a
Well, I
project
think
management thing, right?
The shared space thing, I think, is the key to that.
Yeah.
Although, I guess technically Whiteboard works remotely as well. You can have remote participants.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
It's
asked them
kind of
one time. I asked them, "Can you put a Loop component in Whiteboard?" And they're like, "Yeah, and you can put a whiteboard in Loop." I'm like, "Okay, now I'm really confused, right?"
And you
Like,
just
I don't
destroyed the
know.
universe. Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Every time I think I'm sort of grasping Loop, then
It's
you
the
throw
same
another
rules as
thing
time
in, and
travel.
like-
It doesn't make any sense, but it all works. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, I think maybe more and more I'm like, maybe they'll show that there because
That
there's
makes
not.
sense.
We don't think there's going to be a spring Ignite, so you don't want to wait
That's right.
until like fall Ignite to show Loop again because that'll be a whole year, right?
They have to ship something before next November. This
Yeah,
coming November.
right.
Right. They have to.
Right? Yeah.
The other thing that's cool about this, maybe not traditionally cool for Microsoft, is it is platform agnostic, right?
Yep.
So
That's cool for Microsoft.
Yeah, now that's
No, that really
that's
is
the new
like-
Microsoft. Yeah.
I just happened to go through this period of history, but at PDC 2008, Microsoft announced what we now call the Office web apps, right? Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and OneNote, right? And at that time, they had those giant ribbon UIs because that's what was current at the time. Now they have kind of a stripped down thing. Those apps have not really advanced that much. In fact, it's kind of a sobering thing to say. Here we are, 14 years later. They still don't work offline, right? So this kind of thing, I, in some ways, starting over from scratch with something that makes more sense for the world of today, rather than trying to adapt your old-fashioned thing, which, by the way, dates back to the 1980s, is probably good for them. There'll always be people that need, for whatever reason, maybe you're publishing a book or something, Microsoft Word, or you need Microsoft Excel for obvious reasons, or PowerPoint for whatever reasons people use that. But I feel like this Notion-like thing, solves most problems for most people. Not everybody. I know the hardcore Excel users, especially, are going to freak out over that. But you can probably put a little. I'm sure you can. I'm positive one of the loop components, whatever the term is will of course be Excel. Like if you need to fire up some Excel thing, you'll have Excel inside of Loop. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Well, remember, I know maybe you do or not, Claris Works way back when, which was a word processing program that was it wasn't any one thing. You would put a word processing documents pane in, a spreadsheet pane. And,
Yep.
and what I like is
Microsoft tried to do this. Remember embedded documents?
Works,
you'd have like
right?
an Excel. Well, they did it in Office too. That you'd have an Excel component inside of Word, and when you clicked inside of it, the toolbars would change to Excel toolbars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That
think,
didn't confuse anybody.
as much as I like Notion, I love the idea of a company with the size and scope and team and resources of Microsoft, because they could put all sorts of stuff in there. It'd be really cool.
That's right. They already have. It's all set up.
They're-
They've shown us the model with Teams.
They have.
once they
And
have a
they've already said
framework.
they're going to work with third parties to get them to go
Yeah.
with the platform too, right?
Who owns Slack now? Is it Salesforce?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Salesforce. So Salesforce should be looking at Notion right now, like right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You know, or Amazon or Google or anyone who thinks they're going to compete with Microsoft 365.
Amazon would be good for this, actually.
Yeah.
Google
Amazon
tried it
cannot
and
get
has already
going.
gave up on it because Google had Wave, and
Amazon though, they've got Chime. Like they don't know how to do apps
they can't.
like this. Right?
They don't know how to market them. They have a million apps.
Well, here's how
Nobody
you know
knows
that's
it.
true. You just said Amazon has Chime and 99%
You
of
never
the
heard of it.
listeners
What?
are like, what? Like, what is this thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's heard of it.
Amazon, I think, and actually it's interesting that Microsoft's not doing this, but Amazon's choosing to be the back end for everybody, right?
Yeah.
You do the front end, we'll do the back end.
Yeah.
Microsoft could credibly do that, and I think
Well,
sometimes.
by the way, okay, so actually we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but Microsoft started as the front end because Microsoft has that history in the client. Or Amazon started on the back end because that's what they needed, and they said, "Hey, maybe we could sell this." But it's interesting that both these companies have moved, toward each other and are crossing paths, right? Because Microsoft wants to be the back end too with Azure and whatever else. But I mean, but they started from where they started. Amazon has been incredibly successful being the back end, but Microsoft's been pretty successful. I mean, they're definitely the Bing of the cloud computing.
I don't think that is a success.
faint
the way-
praise.
Let me try that one.
Yeah.
It's like the Cadillac of cars.
All right, so we actually haven't even started the show.
I know.
This
Right.
has just been foreplay for the excitement that is to come. Windows 11 beta testers, start your engines.
Restart your engines, really.
Yeah, I thought we
Yeah.
were already doing
Yep.
that.
Right. So everyone listening to the show, I would believe, knows that there are three rings that Microsoft primarily is testing Windows with, right? There's the dev channel, which has been getting a lot of these Windows 11 features that we talk about on every episode. Then there's the beta channel, which has gotten a couple things, but not much. And then there's the release preview channel. So today, right before the show, Microsoft released a test build that has the same number to both the dev and the beta channel. So this is a sign like, okay, we're moving things forward. The beta channel is going to start testing some of these things that have only been in the dev channel to this point. I don't want to spoil Paul's pick, so I'm not going to say too
That's
much
fine.
more.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay.
So
Well, no, we have to talk about this. I don't think
we
can
do.
wait.
So there's a magic window. I think Paul's the one who cloned that phrase.
And this is a slightly different magic window, but yes,
It
there
is.
is a
It
magic
is.
window.
So you can switch starting today between these two channels now. So if you're in the beta channel and you're like, oh, I don't want these features because they may or may not be part of the final product when it comes out, in the fall, the 22H2 release, the feature update. You can jump out of the beta channel and get into the release preview channel, or you could jump into the dev channel from the beta channel. Like you can switch right now, right? Like this is the window of
This is
opportunity.
unusual.
It
So
is.
this happened.
It is.
This happened last summer. I don't remember the exact timing, but Microsoft got in a little bit of trouble because at some point they switched the build, the channel for they switched the. I don't know what you call it. It's like a build tree or trunk or something for the dev channel, and they in doing so they killed the ability to jump between dev and beta. Now.
Right.
I complained about this at the time because I thought this was just a new capability. Like we're going to let people jump between channels, which to me makes tons of sense. But apparently it was just a temporary thing. And they never really explained explicitly that this was happening. So a lot of people found themselves unable to switch, and they were kind of mad about that, which is understandable. This time, they are being like very clear about it. Like
They are.
Like, this is
Which is good.
temporary.
They should be.
This is exactly. So they've at least learned that, which I appreciate. So anyway, it's important to know.
It is. So if you're in beta channel now, you can test these things we've talked about on previous episodes, like the start folders, the live captions, the redesigned task manager, tablet optimized taskbar. There's a whole bunch of other things. I don't think it's every single thing in the dev channel because if you remember, what is the dev channel? The dev channel is the experimental channel. This is a channel where they put things in there that may or may not ever ship, right? It's not connected to any particular release. The beta channel, you have a better chance of things shipping if it's in that channel, but not 100% of a chance.
So let me ask you a question about what you think about what that means, okay? Because there are two. My head goes into two different directions here.
Okay.
One is that this may indicate that Windows 11 is reaching a point where, or I should say the next version of Windows 11, this feature update, is reaching a point where it's going to be finalized. And so they want to broaden the availability of what they think will be this next version of Windows so that more people can test it. But the other half of my brain says, the Windows Insider program is so terrible in so many ways that what they can do is what they've been doing, which is that A/B testing type stuff where you do get the same build and it has the same base level of features. But if you're in the dev channel, you may get additional features based on this A/B testing because they'll flip switches that you may not get in the beta channel. So, I
think it's the former of those two things that you said.
Interesting.
But so this is a little bit confusing because I've been watching the headlines on today's news and I see some people saying, oh, Microsoft's done with 22H2, like the feature update's done. You cannot say that at this point, right? Like, and from everything I've seen, like things people have shown me internally, this feature update's not coming out till October. Right? It's like we're still months away from this thing coming out. And you know what they'll do is they'll probably finalize it around the summer, right? Like around June, July, it'll be RTM'd. Then the next several months, they'll keep tweaking it, right? They'll be adding things through cumulative updates. They'll be testing, retesting. So to say it's almost done, I feel like it's going out on a limb at this point. I don't even think you can say it's frozen from a feature perspective because I feel like they can keep still can keep adding features for quite a while to this thing.
Yeah. And,
right.
So, you have something in the notes about this upcoming event. Obviously, Build is coming as well, and later than that.
May,
so there are some milestones where they could possibly announce new stuff. I feel like Build might be a good place to announce features for this next feature update.
Or maybe April 5th,
maybe this other
right?
one.
They're having this thing they call the hybrid work event for Windows. So technically they could show us some features that haven't even gone to test yet. If they wanted to say like, here's a sneak preview of something we may add, before this thing goes live. Right. The thing I keep going back to is Microsoft said there's only one feature update to Windows 10 and Windows 11 from now on. It's always going to be in the latter half of the year, around October, right? But they've added so many caveats and asterisks to this, so they can add features in all different ways through all different mechanisms, right? Just because there's one feature update coming doesn't mean all the features are in that feature update. They can add things through like the update stack mechanism and through the store and this and that. So to just say that because this is how they've always done it and all the features have to be in by a set time and then it's RTM and then it goes to customers, that old model is gone for Windows, right?
Yeah.
They can throw features in any way they want, anytime they want pretty much. Even though they said there's one feature update per year.
So it's not going to go gold?
No, I almost feel like, I've always been one to say they should keep calling it RTM because that's what people understand. But I'm going to stop using that terminology because I feel like now you can't really even say that anymore about Windows because of all the ways they've got these even ways of updating.
Vista 7, these are a long time ago, these releases would RTM.
Right.
But they would still ship an update, right? The story kind of shifted to it's finished and it had to go out to PCs and PC makers rather, and they put them in new computers and everything. They head out to stores. And then you get it home and you run Windows Update and you immediately have what we now call a cumulative update, whatever it was called back in the day.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's the nature of everything we do. Everything digital today is like that. You buy a phone, you buy a tablet, you buy anything. The first thing you do is, of course you have an update.
Yep.
Yeah, it's never done.
Exactly. Right, because the OEMs, people making PCs, they get the builds, like the people who are going to ship PCs this holiday season, they'll get a really early version of this. If they even get this, they probably won't even get Windows 11 22H2, right? They'll just be like working from the current build. And then late when you turn on your PC, you'll see, I have an update. And that'll give you all the new bits that are part of the feature update, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way it works.
Yeah, it will give you new versions of apps. You'll get...
Yeah, yep.
You'll get these. It's just we've been technically doing this for a long time.
Yeah, yep.
This kind of thing.
I know it just feels new because of the terminology and the way they talk about it. But you're right. This is how things have worked for a while in Windows.
Well, it also it feels. I think the reason this feels different too is Windows 11 is so incomplete. They shipped this thing so quickly, didn't deliver on 2/3 of the things they promised. And then it's been kind of a drip, slow thing ever since. We've only had that one little, feature. We can't call it a feature update, but that they need new words now because they keep, it's a small set of features that they added last month.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of a milestone day today in terms of moving things along.
How exciting! A milestone.
I wish we could call it something. I liked having names for things.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Yeah. We can make some up. We're good at that.
Well, I mean, you do sort of want to position it like you did in the past. Like you were saying, we can't really use the term, RTM anymore. But what would we have called this kind of thing? There's nothing like it. I mean,
the gold master, right? Like we used to call it that. We did.
No,
we used to call it that.
Yeah, we did, of course.
That's worse than RTM. I mean, I'm sure.
It is.
No, it's not. But I mean, Microsoft probably hates it more than RTM.
They hate it.
Yeah,
they hate it.
Yeah.
They hate RTM. They hate Goldmaster. They're like, it's a whole new way of doing the operating system. Those terms are irrelevant.
It's
but then they use them
never
themselves.
Right.
They use them in their own documentation, right?
When Microsoft would test something like just Windows 7 using a random version, there was another team already thinking and working on the next version. There was another team working on like what would become a service pack.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a team, probably the same team as that last team, working on a new service pack for the previous versions of Windows.
Yep.
So these things were all kind of happening in concert all the time anyway. But now they're sort of, not exactly, but they're testing multiple things publicly now. And they don't really align with anything in many cases, right? That's kind of the weird thing about the Insider program these days. Like the dev channel is not some version of Windows. The beta channel sort of is. And I guess arguably the release preview channel is sort of a version of Windows. But we've gotten, it used to be very concrete. We understood what we were doing. And today it's all very vague.
Let's take a little time out so you can put some more icons in the Notion. And I am going to talk about one of our sponsors for today. How about that? Show today brought to you by IT Pro TV. Your IT team needs the skills and the knowledge to ensure your business is a success. Where do you get that training? IT Pro TV. Because they will love it. And you know what? A team that loves the training they're getting is going to do it. It's going to be more likely to finish it and get those skills. More than 80% of users who start a video at IT Pro TV, just as an example, more than 80% actually finish it. They go all the way through because it's that good. It's that informative, that entertaining. The IT Pro TV edutainers are chosen for their expertise, of course, but also for their ability to express it, their passion, their ability to make it fun, entertaining. Your team is going to actually enjoy learning from IT Pro TV. Give the team the tools they need to thrive. Courses are binge-worthy. Dare I say that? Binge-worthy. Keeping your team interested, invested in learning. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if you go back and look at your team dashboard and they've completed all the assignments in half the time because they love it. Everybody likes to learn if it's presented in the right way. And I'll tell you what, in the tech industry, you've got to learn. It's constantly changing. It's changing all the time. So your team needs to constantly keep up to date. No one's done learning IT, right? There's new software releases. There's new systems. There's new tests, new certs, and, of course, new cyber threats. IT Pro TV offers the training, the perspectives, so that you are ready to go within days, if not hours. You get training and certs for your team done, every one of them all in one place. Every vendor, every skill your IT team needs. Microsoft, of course, Cisco, Linux, Apple, security, cloud, and so much more. 5,800 hours worth of up-to-date IT training. And the dashboard you'll love because it lets you track your team's results. With your IT Pro TV business plan, you can manage your seats, assign and unassigned team members, access monthly usage reports, see metrics like logins, viewing time, tracks completed, and more. Makes it very easy to manage your team. You can even have a subset of team or even individual users say that you need to take this, you need to take this, I want you to complete this. Customized assignments. You can monitor their progress. You'll get reporting on the usage of the platform. But like I said, I think what you're going to find out is that you're going to be surprised how much they love it, how much they use it. You can assign full courses, or you can even assign individual episodes within courses, and the episodes are all 30 minutes or less. So they're bite-sized. You could say, hey, I need you to learn up on single sign-on. Here's the course. You can watch it during lunch, and you'd be done. The reporting in the IT Pro TV business plan is really, really good. So you'll know immediately how the team's doing, but you can also justify it by saying, look, here's the ROI. You can show the boss, hey, this paid off. IT Pro TV, they have individual plans. We talk about those all the time. I wanted to make sure that businesses knew that team training is also available. Give your team the IT development platform. They need to level up their skills and enjoy the journey too. That's important. It's available for teams from 2 to 1,000. There are discounts for teams starting at 5 seats. And I've got an even better discount. You can combine them. itpro.tv/Windows, 30% off when you mention WW30. Tell your IT Pro TV account executive, say, WW30, WW30, 30% off or more on your business plan. They're really great. IT Pro TV. Go to itpro.tv/Windows. Please use the /Windows so they know you're a part of the Dozer crowd. itpro.tv/Windows. We thank them so much for supporting Windows Weekly.
Is Dozer, is that a positive term, a negative term?
Dozers! I don't know. I've been listening. My son, he's become an influencer. He's got 2 million followers on TikTok. Mary Jo, your neighbors are fans.
I know. My neighbors love the guy.
By the way,
they're like obsessed with him.
New salt out, salthank.com. He's got chimichurri now that's awesome. So,
like it.
Yeah, you'll like it. But why did I bring that up? Oh, because he's doing a podcast. I'm starting to listen to these podcasts from this millennial generation, and they all do that. They all dozers, hey, hose heads. It's like they also talk really fast. It's a different generation, and honestly, as an old school podcaster, and you guys are also old school, it's a very foreign territory for me. Right. So I'm just trying to hip it up a little bit by calling you dozers.
I understand. As much as I can, being old.
Yeah, same. Being old school podcasters.
Yeah, we're old school. They're going to come around. They'll come back to us. We know this is the right way to podcast. There's only one way to podcast. This way. When using
Notion.
Notion.
There's only one way to rock.
Right. Are we playing chicken? Is that what we're doing? Did you mention the new build? Yeah.
So we have a build today, but a build Friday. Or there was a weird off build on Friday.
This was an off.
This is
build.
The one that came out on Friday.
Yeah.
Off-brand build. Okay.
Off-brand.
Well, it usually comes out today, right? It's usually Wednesday.
Or sometimes Thursday. Friday's very unusual, right? Like that's, okay. But it had a feature that a lot of people have been dying for, which is naming options for the start menu folders. Like people are like, why can't I name the folders? Okay, now you can with that build. Ta-da.
This is exciting stuff. And I got to say,
Wow.
No, for enterprise people, there's also the ability, there's a way to have a policy for excluding USB removable drives from BitLocker encryption. So, yeah, there was like one enterprise feature, there were some fixers, and there was the naming of the folders, and that was kind of it.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
That's worth rushing out on a Friday. I'm staying home this weekend. I got to name some folders. I'm going to be naming
I
folders.
want to name
this
all my
I think
folders.
if you spend too much time organizing the start menu, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yep, agree.
Actually, to be honest, I don't really have anything to do with a computer, so little jobs like that are all I do.
Is all the
Customize.
That's all you
Customize.
what you live for.
I swear to God, there are people like
folders
that.
to the taskbar.
No, there are people. You go to there's PC Master Race. If you go to some of these subreddits, Linux, Windows, it's all about what I can make it look like. They're clearly not doing any work.
Yeah.
I feel like Windows Phone, that was Windows Phone, right? Like people would spend so much time doing that screen,
customizing
like
it.
in a customized way, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, just put some icons on there. They're like, no, they all have to be the same color or in a pattern, right?
No, Android people do.
This one's big, this one's
to
small.
some degree, that's the difference between iPhone users and Android users.
Yeah.
Everybody's iPhone looks bog standard. It's all the same, but everybody's Android.
I do nothing to customize mine. I really don't. Like it's just a row of icons. That's it.
Yeah, you should have a Windows. I mean, iPhone.
No, I should not have an iPhone. I should not. No.
Are they bringing back the briefcase? No? No? Okay.
The briefcase. No.
Another Windows 95 feature.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got to love the briefcase.
Yeah.
That'd be a good thing to investigate the history of sync on Windows, all the different ways we...
Do you know how confusing that would be? Oh, man.
Yeah, yep. There was a period of
That'd be
time,
nuts.
the Ray Ozzie era, when we had 3 primary different ways to do that.
Mr. Lotus.
Yeah.
All right, so...
That's good. I liked him a lot, but unfortunately, he allowed different groups at Microsoft to release the same thing in slightly different forms.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. Let's talk about... I actually have seen more and more people pick up on your article, Paul, about having that watermark on your, your Windows 11 because you would dare run it on a substandard system.
You idiot.
You fool.
You cheap bastard.
So now the question is, are they gonna go farther than just watermarking?
Right. So
I think they should publicly shame you.
So all this does right now, this went into beta and release preview channels. That's why people started freaking out more. It's not on mainstream PCs yet, as far as I know. But if you're running Windows 11 on a PC that is not up to Microsoft CPU and TPM standards, you're going to see a little thing in the corner that says your system doesn't meet the requirements for Windows 11. When then you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? You're like, okay, so what are they going to do now that I don't meet the requirements? Right now, they do nothing. That's all it is the watermark, right?
But, I mean, just to talk about the slippery slope again.
Yeah.
Try running Windows 7 today, right?
Right.
So Windows 7 today will occasionally and then increasingly pop up a full screen window.
Yeah.
That tells you that you're not in compliance. So
exactly.
Is this going to head in that direction over time?
Yep.
I mean,
so that's
maybe,
my question, right? I went to Microsoft and I said, okay, so can you just give people a heads up? Like, do you intend to do more than just show them a little thing in the corner that says this? Are you actually going to start blocking them in some way? Are you going to have flashing activation type screen things going on, or like, and they won't comment. They won't comment at all. Like they won't say anything, right? And they're like, yeah, we have nothing to say.
Well, no, of course not.
No.
You don't. You don't tell the world you're going to invade Ukraine. You do it one day. I mean,
but this brings up the question, right? Well, it brings up a few things. So if you're savvy enough to be like okay with running Windows 11 on unsupported hardware, do you care? Like you'll be able to find a way to get rid of the watermark. Like there's ways you can look it up.
That's right, that's an important point. There are ways. There's registry changes you can make that fixes this very nicely. But actually, I think you're hinting at the real underlying issue here, which is no one normal is going to see this because no one normal took a computer that would not upgrade to Windows 11 and force the issue, right? I mean, that's something that technical people do. I mean, I feel like people get into things like this and they understand how to get out of it, right? They understand there's a way out.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of making a big deal out of the problem is that this hardware requirement exists, right? Let's be clear about that. Like, the Windows 7, the Windows 11 hardware requirements are completely arbitrary. And we don't have to go down that rabbit hole again. But Microsoft just drew some line. Here's the one for Intel. Here's the one for AMD. Here's another one for TPM. And if you, for some reason, don't have these completely arbitrary pieces of hardware, then we're going to start doing this kind of stuff to you. So, you as the technical person kind of force the issue, and you'll be fine. I mean, I don't want to see something on my desktop. Mary Jo would probably never see it, right?
I wouldn't even notice it. People were sending me pictures of it. I'm like, where is this watermark? And they're like, I'm like, am I just missing it? And they're like, it's in the right-hand corner. And I'm like, okay, like it's tiny. It's tiny, like small words.
Yeah, but it's it's like a mote in the corner of your eye. You can't not see it.
No, how often are you? Wait, how often are you even looking at your desktop like that? Aren't you just living in apps? Like you're just switching between apps. You're not even looking at that desktop, I think. I don't know. But you know what? The question this raises, the bigger question this raises is Microsoft just playing chicken or are they going to do something, right? Because my inclination and feeling is, and I can't say I'm 100% sure that I am right about this. Of course, I can't say that. And I'm not telling people they should be running on unsupported hardware. I'm not. But I feel like Microsoft is just kind of leaving that loophole there that if you know enough how to do it, you can run Windows 11 on unsupported hardware. They've hinted that maybe someday we might stop giving you updates if you do that, including security updates, right? And there's no way they're going to do that. Like, think of what that would
irresponsible,
look like, right?
But
right, it would.
But this is like the dev channel thing. Some number of weeks ago, I said, look, you should be using the dev channel if you were listening to this podcast. You got to have one PC on this, and of course, the natural reaction is like, well, hold on a second, that's a one-way street. Like, if I do that, I can't. I have to clean install Windows whatever to get out of that. And it's like, yeah, you can do that. You're smart enough. This is not a difficult thing. If it works out that Microsoft forces the issue on this, they literally stop shipping security updates. They literally start putting these horrible full screen things up in front of you. You can install Windows 10. You'll be okay. It's not a horrible. The outcome is not horrible. The requirements are horrible, but you've decided to go down this path. You'll be okay.
Yeah. I think my take is it's going to be the way that Microsoft left a loophole open to upgrade to Windows 10 for free, and they never closed that loophole. This is going to be that,
by the way,
right?
It's still there. I just did it.
Right. It's never going to go away, right? Yeah.
Yep.
They're going to leave that there. And if you're smart enough to use it and know about it, you'll be able to do it. Same thing with running on unsupported hardware, up to a point, right? Like, I think there'll be some day, maybe when Windows 10 goes out of service, like in 2025, where they'll be like, okay, we're not letting you run it anymore on unsupported
Honestly,
hardware.
they could close this loophole. If they really didn't want people to do that, they could just make it impossible to do.
Exactly. Right. But they left it there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a reason they left it there.
So why do they put the notice there? So that you don't blame them.
Yeah. And I think just to try to threaten people a little bit more, like, look, we don't want you doing this.
Well, maybe they just don't want to support it. And so you call them and they say, well, do you have a little thing in there that says it's not supported? See that?
Yeah.
Don't call us.
Yeah.
I bet you that's the real reason. I don't think they want to threaten people. Why they're not telling you that is beyond me. But
well, I mean, look, you could just be. You've got something in Windows set up that prevents it from installing on unsupported hardware, and there are ways around that. So people have done this; they've gotten around it. They're running it in this unsupported state. I mean, it's not, like Mary just said, it's not a horrible thing the way it is right now. And honestly, if you used to insider builds, the watermark on those builds is actually bigger and more overt or whatever. But I don't know. I just feel like the thing that you have to think about is the audience. Like, if this was normal people, it'd be very upsetting. But if it's technical people, you're like, guys, you know what you're doing. You're fine. I know you have a USB key that has Windows 10 on it right now. I know you have this. You're fine. Yeah. You're going to be fine.
Yeah. I just say don't panic, because I see so many people panicking over this watermark thing. I'm like, it's not time to panic.
There's a lot of things in Windows 11 that I think are freaking people out, right? And aside from the hardware requirements thing, we've talked about the requirements around the Microsoft account, which apparently is now going to extend to Pro. There's that default apps interface stuff, which is just inexcusable and indefensible. So there's a lot of things like this. This thing by itself is not a big deal. This thing, in the context of everything else they're doing, is like, man, there's a lot of user hostility here.
Yeah.
Which is a little hard to take.
I don't think they're being hostile. I think they're just saying, don't count us for support. This is unsupported. Because if they really didn't want you to do it, I'm telling you, they could come out with an uncircumventable method. I'm sure.
They could, but they did that with the defaults app interface. Remember when Windows 11 first came out, a bunch of third-party apps worked around that. And Mozilla did it with Firefox. Brave did it, I think. There was a third-party app just to do it for whatever browser. And Microsoft said, no. This is how we want the thing to be. We're gonna break those workarounds. And then they did that. I mean, if you do that for this, I mean, all you're doing is escalating for no good reason. It would be the people that want to do this would keep working around whatever Microsoft did, and it would just keep going on and on and on, and it would just be. It's kind of best just to let, from Microsoft's perspective, let people be supported with security updates, and just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's my
fair enough
view of that.
Fair enough. You want to talk about the hack?
Yeah.
There's such a big deal about this, but it feels like 2 years ago, the Windows source code.
I was going to say, this actually happens.
It seems like it happens a lot.
Really often.
It's not a, it's not a big deal.
At some point, Microsoft
Plus,
is just
Bing
open source.
and Cortana, guys. It's
I know.
Bing Maps.
I know.
It's
If they could
Cortana.
destroy
It's
every
not like
copy
Windows,
of this thing in existence, that would be one thing. Yeah. So a group, Lapsus, I guess we're calling them. This sounds like a Linux distribution. Apparently broke into an account of one person now, Microsoft is saying. Got access to a bunch of things related to Bing and Cortana mostly. And then provided a 9 gigabyte archive file with over 250 Microsoft source code projects, which when extracted is about 37 gigabytes, which they claim is about 90% of the source code for Bing and about 45% of the source code for Bing Maps and Cortana. So maybe Cortana is going to be coming to Linux now. I don't know. Anyway, Microsoft came out, I think it was today or maybe late yesterday, and said, yeah, no, this happened. It was a limited thing. It was only one account that they compromised. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm always kind of fascinated when something like Windows leaks, right? Like Windows source code. That's always, you want to dive into that thing and like find the actual main function that's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
This is the loop that does everything.
Where does Windows start?
Yeah. Right? I mean, it's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's probably main.cpp.
Exactly.
I would guess.
Exactly. Windows. Windows.
I wonder, now, conspiracy theory, I always like the conspiracy theory. Maybe Microsoft, they can't release the source code because there's too many proprietary things in there that they don't even own. So
that's right.
In the past,
That's
people have always been saying, open source, and Microsoft can't. So one conspiracy theory would be they don't mind if you look at this. What are you going to do? Compile it and run Windows?
Right.
No.
Right.
I know. Well, by the way, the reason we know what you just said is true is Microsoft decided at some point to open source .NET.
Right.
And that didn't mean just taking the source code and making it available. They couldn't do that for exactly that reason that you said. And ultimately what they had to do is rewrite .NET. That's what .NET Core was, and now we just call it .NET again. But that multi-year process of trying to get an open source version of everything we had before required them to rewrite almost the whole thing. Because they license things.
The only reason I think it isn't intentional is it's kind of embarrassing, that they got hacked.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't think they care so much if people have the source code. There's not, like you said, you can't even find the main.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's definitely there somewhere.
The fun thing to do is to read the comments because then probably it's so sanitized and corporate that it's not. Interesting.
Yeah, they probably have an automatic cleaning of that now.
Yeah.
Not back. No, in the old days they certainly didn't. I mean, there was some embarrassing stuff.
Fun. That's fun. That's the
The
best
old
part.
Windows code and DOS
But
code.
this is the whole. Remember the whole thing about open source is eyeballs. Anyone can look at the code,
Right.
But then you look at the code and you realize no one's looking at this code. this is terrible looking at this. What am I going to do with this?
Really, the truth is the only people looking at it are the other maintainers, and they look at it because they have to understand it to add to it.
Yeah.
So, you might have a handful of people looking at any given project, but that's more than none. I mean, and they're all independent. They don't have an axe to grind, so they're not,
Right.
Guys, 2 words: Bing Maps.
Bing Maps, baby. Did that
That's
leak
what
out?
yeah, Bing Maps, Cortana. It's like stuff everybody's like, yeah, what?
Jeez.
I don't
Bing
know,
Maps.
like-
It's still a thing, huh?
Yeah.
I don't think
It's still a
Cortana
thing.
would be that useful without like the data, the what do they call it? The machine learning data.
Right.
By itself, the
Right.
source code is probably not that
Probably not interesting,
useful.
right?
Yeah, certainly not
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Hold on, guys. I'm going to do a city flyover of Allentown on Bing Maps.
All right. Go for it, man.
It's
Enjoy.
literally a video. It's not.
It's a
just
video. It's so funny.
Well, that is Allentown.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Is this from the source code you're doing this?
No. This is on the Bing Maps.
Oh, okay. You're actually using the app. Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping for a Lower Macungie flyover. Curiously, that does not exist.
Wow.
Surprising.
Probably Apple Maps has it though.
Probably.
I'm thinking.
Right. They built a Disney World Paris. They're like, Lower Macungie's next.
That's next. If you see small planes flying over with cameras, you'll know.
Yeah, you know what's
You'll
happening.
know. Let's see here. Edging along. Edging along. This is all about credge. We haven't heard the word credge in a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't. It's time to bring it up again.
Credge.
Just to annoy people who hate it.
Yeah.
It's like poking a bear. I don't know why you do that.
It is. It's fun.
Yeah, so this is probably a minor issue, but Chrome and Chromium-based web browsers are about to hit version 100, which apparently is going to break the internet just like Y2K did for some reason. So, yeah, we can brace ourselves to that. So Edge just version 100 just hit the beta channel. I think it's going to go stable sometime, actually pretty soon. I think it might be the end of this month, probably. And there are some concerns about compatibility problems because of the shift to this 3-digit version number. Here's an idea, guys. Why don't you make it now so that it's a 4-digit number? We could just skip this the next time. Make it 0100. Just I don't know. I'm not a computer scientist, but maybe be a little more sophisticated with version numbers. I'm also just of a mind that it is fascinating to me that web browsers versioning has escalated, right? Web browsers for a long time, most web browsers were in kind of a 6-week schedule. Now it's a 4-week schedule. I mean, basically, we're getting a new version every week. It's crazy.
Although enterprises can delay it, right? Like they have a way they can.
Yeah.
Have it,
No, I'm just
I
saying,
think,
like,
6
in other words,
weeks
we're
or
not on
something.
we're not on Edge 17.
Right.
We're on Edge
right.
100. Like this
Yeah,
thing has only
yeah.
been around for 3
That's true.
years
A
or whatever.
short
I mean,
time, right.
Aren't they, though,
it's
trying to
interesting.
match Chrome's numbers? I mean,
Yes.
that's the
Yeah,
real
yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
Right? So you know you're on the
Yeah.
same Chromium
Right.
version. So
Right.
they
But,
didn't start at 1.
No, it's true. But I mean, because of the 6 and now 4-week schedule, new versions come up all the time.
But
Like,
that's because of
it seems like-
security issue. I mean, you
It's
got to.
fine. No, it's fine. I don't mind
constantly
it.
keep
I'm
up.
not. I'm not right. I'm not saying we should be on version 3.11 because they added networking. I'm saying maybe because this has been going on for a long time. Like we should have been prepared for this.
Yeah.
We meaning people who make web browsers and websites, I guess. Yeah. This seems strange to me.
They always ask me when we, like we're coming up now on episode 900. They always say, well, you want cupcakes? I'm saying, no, we don't do cupcakes for 100s. You got to do...
Silver, isn't it silver?
yeah, I think when we get to Twit 1000 or Windows Weekly 800, then we'll have...
Yeah,
No, 800, not even. No, we need to go to 1,000.
1,000.
Then we'll have cupcakes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but
don't
we just-
expect cupcakes.
We probably do roughly 50 episodes a year.
Yeah.
So
It's a few years
gonna be
off.
that's like 4 years away. More than 4 years.
all right,
Five, almost 5.
Okay, we can do
We can't get a
Go to
cupcake
Dunkin'.
for like 5
We'll
years.
go to Dunkin'. It's all right. We can do it. Get you some cupcakes.
It's just a
Edge hits
cupcake,
100.
Leo. I don't understand.
Balloons. You want balloons? You
I'm not
probably want
asking for
balloons
China
too.
set here. I'm just saying, I don't know. A cupcake
Candles.
would be
What do you
nice.
want? Okay. Okay.
Beer. We want beer.
Edge
Yeah,
100.
and something to dunk it in, I think is what we're asking.
Dunkin'.
Yes. Dunkin'. We're
Dunkin'.
back to Dunkin'.
It's the best Dunkin'. It's the best coffee. They say. They say. I probably should break here because this show is rolling along. You guys are just trucking. I try to slow you down.
We have so much stuff, though.
Do you have a lot more to go?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
more.
There's
There's
more?
more
So
stuff coming.
Well, I got 2 more ads. Do you have enough stuff to? Let's just do.
Let's just finish up Edge.
Okay, finish. Oh, you're not done with Edge? All right.
No, this is one. There's one
Finish
other small
Edge.
thing.
Finish Edge.
So Microsoft Edge has gained really what I think is an excellent accessibility feature, which is the automatic generation of image descriptions for users who are browsing the web with screen readers. So if you know anything about HTML or whatever, when you post an image to the web, you're supposed to put up a description so that people who can't see the images will get an understanding of what that image is. I mean, almost nobody probably does this, but this thing will do that automatically. And that's neat. Of course, my mind immediately went to pornography. I apologize, but that's an exception. It will not describe that kind of an image. So if that's what you're looking for, you're not getting that. Excessively small images, excessively large images, decorative images, gory, sexual, or pornographic images will not be automatically described.
It's gonna go. I don't really know.
I want. It's like calling on the phone. I just want to hear it. I don't know. Sorry, I'm sorry I went there. But anyway, but it's a great feature. So
It's a great feature. No, in fact, we have a sponsor, UserWay, that fixes all that because absolutely, if you're using a screen reader, your images are just empty holes unless they have a
it's
description.
just a blank space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It is good.
All right. Now I could talk about CDW. All right. I've just been waiting for this moment. Windows Weekly brought to you today by Intel. Intel, orchestrated by the experts at CDW. They understand to keep up with the changing business needs. Organizations of all sizes have to stay secure. They have to stay connected. They have to stay protected. And that takes powerful processors that are built for today and tomorrow, like Intel's built for business 11th Gen Intel Core vPro processors. The 11th Gen Intel Core vPro processors provide you with the performance, security, and remote manageability needed to continually move forward and stay productive even while on the go. And of course, CDW works with Intel to provide the right technology to fuel productivity and innovation. CDW can assess your distributed workforce and their needs to implement the Intel vPro platform and configure devices powered by the 11th Gen Intel Core vPro processors, accelerating digital business transformation. When it comes to performance, a new processor core architecture is delivering increased overall application performance, meaning less time waiting and more productivity from anywhere. And it's compatible with Wi-Fi 6 to prevent delays, built-in AI that accelerates apps and optimizes speed. Of course, Intel Hardware Shield builds in protection when it comes to security, detecting and preventing malware and network threats without sacrificing performance, and get remote manageability, cloud-based or hardware-based management for IT leaders, consistent features across notebooks, desktops, and workstations within a business. For increased performance and security, trust Intel and IT orchestration by CDW, people who get it. Learn more at cdw.com/Intel Client. That's cdw.com/Intel Client. We thank him so much for supporting Windows Weekly. What are you laughing?
Fool me once, Leo. Shame on. What was the quote?
That was the Bush. Yeah. Fool me once, shame on. He couldn't get it right. Fool me. I can't remember, though. Yeah. Okay. Nice job, Scotty.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Brownie.
Doing a great job, Brownie. Wow. Wow, some deep cuts there from Paul and Lee.
Yep.
Let's talk about the cloud.
Bum, bum, bum.
And specifically about China.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, all right, so China asked Microsoft to halt a feature of Bing, which is in itself is amazing, called Auto Suggest. What is it? Auto Suggest. It's like you might be living in a totalitarian state if I don't even know what.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I have to assume they've gone after Google as well. Like you kind of I don't know, Bing, like is Bing a big deal in China? I don't know.
So I think Bing is one of the few.
Really?
No, they're one of the few search engines allowed in China,
okay.
and it's because they agreed to do basically what the Chinese government wanted in terms of censorship, right? That's how they are operating there. So yeah, a lot of people are questioning though, like why did they try to like limit auto suggest? What was showing up in auto suggest that was concerning to the government?
So I think the problem is that they were using, which is this amazing sentence to even say, they were using algorithms. Right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's computer code. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Don't want those algorithms out there. Going to
Right.
start banning the algorithms. That's going to be next.
Yeah. It's
But
a tough
actually,
place
that's
to
a
do
good point.
business.
It is. Bing is the only major non-Chinese search engine available in the
Right.
country. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. Well, not for long, right?
Yeah. Right. I know.
I think we can say goodbye to that.
Yeah.
It's not going to last
guess.
forever.
Yeah. But the better cloud story, which has to do with gaming from MJF, by the way.
Yep.
Microsoft did a whole lot of game developer conference announcements today. And surprise, surprise, the centerpiece was Azure of these, right? So for the past few years, they've been trying to get more game developers to use Azure to test, build, and even run their games, just the way that Microsoft runs the xCloud service off of Azure. But today they announced a really interesting thing, the Azure Game Development Virtual Machine. So this is a VM that's pre-populated with a lot of things that game developers might want. Like the Unreal Engine, Visual Studio, PlayFab, DirectX. All these things can be preloaded, customized in a VM that people can use to either spin up a game, spin up game development workstations or servers, build servers, or as a base image for building your own custom environments for your developers. They also have a new program, ID at Azure. It's kind of like ID at Xbox. I just said Xbox. I can't believe
you
said
even knew that
show.
existed. That's fascinating.
I do. I know it exists, but I have no idea what it is. It's some kind of program, right, for giving people access to free tools. I'm just saying words
So
now.
let me
like
help
I know what
this
this
up
is.
a little bit here.
Okay, you help.
So ID
Please
at
help.
Xbox is a program for independent, like our so-called indie developers. So
Yeah.
I assume that ID at Azure is the same thing, but for
Game developers.
for game developers using Azure.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
In other words,
Yeah.
it's not just for EA and Activision and
Right.
these companies make it accessible to indie developers as well.
Definitely. Yeah, so I was looking back because I've written a few things about gaming, always in connection with Azure, surprisingly. And one of the comments from one of my older articles about this was Microsoft said, we always ask, like, what do they get out of doing gaming at Microsoft besides the fact that the subscription service is very popular? What they said on the record was all the work that game developers do on Azure helps accelerate what we're doing in cloud computing.
Sure.
And the reason for that is games are some of the most complex
Exactly.
things.
The most demanding.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when you learn how games work, when they're streaming, when they're running on your streaming platform, it helps you figure out how to make Azure better for every kind of application, right?
That's true for hardware too. I've always said that. That's why you do. That's why PC makers love games. It pushes the hardware.
Yep.
Pushes
Definitely.
the network.
I feel compelled to share this
Pushes
story,
Paul.
Mary Jo. I hope you don't mind. You won't mind. This
Yes.
makes you look good. So
Okay,
I was
go ahead.
writing I was in researching and writing this programming Windows series I was doing. I got to PDC 2008, and looking back on it now, I realized this was an inflection point, which is what I eventually wrote about it. That to that date, when you went to a PDC, they were always around major new platforms, and they were always client platforms. It was always Windows. But this PDC was where they announced Azure. And it was a huge shift for the company. And I don't remember what I wrote originally, but what I eventually wrote was most didn't appreciate it at the time. But the 2008 Professional Developers Conference was an inflection point for Microsoft, yada, yada, yada. And I went. So the thing is, I found among the many things that I found in my research was Mary Jo and I and Tom Warren and Raphael and Long Zhang and possibly some other people. Maybe Kip, I think, was involved. We did like a group live blog of the 2008 PDC. And I found the transcript from it. And I swear to God, I found what I wrote. Originally, I said it was not obvious at the time, but this was the dividing point. There was the Microsoft of old in the rearview mirror, and then this is the new Microsoft. But in this thing, there's Mary Jo wrote, like literally on that day, she wrote, Windows 7 might be more demo friendly than this, but this is Microsoft's future, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And I was like,
everyone.
God,
thank you.
damn it. Yeah, no, she got
I
it. She
remember
got it
we
right
were all
that day.
Yeah, we were doing.
That day.
I remember that we were doing a live blog, and you guys were all blah blah blahing about, oh, this is the boring stuff, blah blah. When are we getting to Windows?
This is what my commentary amounted to. This is an exact quote. I wrote, Azure, God bless you. Meanwhile, Mary Jo's like, this is the future of Microsoft. This was like the level of difference, like where we were at this time. Like I just didn't, I couldn't, I'm like, this is a Windows Server hosted by Microsoft, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess it sort of is, but yeah, anyway, big change.
Oh man,
Big
it was a
change.
huge change, and just trying to get our arms around it. Like when they were briefing us on it, I remember just sitting there. I was talking to Amitabh Srivastava, who was heading up Azure at the
Who was
time,
the guy
and
on stage talking about this. Yeah,
and he's drawing on this whiteboard like this really complicated diagram of how Azure was built and all the components, the stack level diagram. And I'm like writing it down, talking to him, blah, blah, blah. And he stands up and he gives me this big hug and he goes, "You got it. You got it. This is great. You've got it."
So, all right, that's actually really interesting because I also had a similar experience where I walked out of the keynote thing and this person from PR said, "Hey, Paula, what did you think of the Windows Azure stuff?" And I'm like, I got to be honest, I don't really understand it. And she said, "Well, that's okay. We have a special 1-hour session for the press that's right now, and they'll answer any questions you have." And I'm like, great. So I went in there and I asked a bunch of questions. In fact, I probably asked more questions than everyone else combined. I had a lot of questions.
Like, how
And
do
then
you
I walked out
pronounce
and
it was the first one I
Yeah.
had.
That, by the way, I'll
Question
get to
one.
that one second. That's really funny. So I walked out the door. I saw the same person. She goes, "Did they answer all your questions?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you get it now?" I'm like, "No, I still don't understand." And so I said this to Mary Jo too, actually, in that keynote. Ray Ozzie was the first person to utter the term Azure, and he said it that way. He said Azure. They say that word at least 4 different ways during the keynote. There's one guy who says it 2 different ways in one sentence.
We didn't know.
Like,
no one knew.
Yeah, no one knew.
I think Ray got to decide. It's Azure, and that's it.
Yep, that's
I think
it.
that's exactly right. And this was, in many ways, his internet services disruption memo. That
Yep.
and Azure was architected by who else? Dave Cutler, right?
Yep.
Along with the
along with the crew.
hypervisor
Yep.
based, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. It
most-
was just a
Okay. Fun codename fact about that PDC. Now we're going
I
down
remember the
memory lane
codename.
here.
Yep.
Okay. Codename was Red Dog of Azure.
right.
And all the execs who presented that day on stage had red shoes.
And Mary Jo will know this
Lord.
better than anybody. But what is Red Dog named after?
It's named after a strip club.
That's right. That's right.
Which
in Silicon Valley.
Okay, they need to come up with a better.
No, here's the story. They were in a van.
Yeah.
They were going down to visit the Hotmail team, the Azure team, before it
The
was an Azure
Hotmail team, really, at the strip
Yep.
club?
Oh Lord.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
I see.
wait, no.
I'm
They were
sorry.
going down to visit them in Microsoft's California office, right? Because they're like, you guys know how to run a service, right? So we got to talk
God.
to you. So they're in a van. They're driving down the street. They pass the strip club called the Pink Poodle, and somebody, I don't know if it was Dave Cutler, somebody in the van said, we shouldn't codename this the Pink Poodle. And somebody said, no,
That
we
sounds
should
like
call it
Dave
Red
Cutler.
Dog.
I remember
Let's
the
call it Red
Pink
Dog.
Poodle. It's funny because
Yeah.
I don't remember a strip club called Red Dog from my
No, there wasn't
youth
one.
in San Jose, but
There
I
wasn't
do
one.
remember the Pink Poodle. That's hysterical.
Red Dog
They
like
almost called it
sounds like
Pink Poodle.
Pink Poodle.
It's like a
Everybody
British
from San Jose
sci-fi
would've
show from the
laughed.
70s, like Red Dog.
Red Dog,
Yeah.
Red Dog, Red Dog, number 9.
The big Clifford the Red Dog.
That's what
Remember him?
I thought they should have said. Is we named
Right?
after Clifford, the big red
Yeah.
dog.
Red Dog,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, the real story came out, and everybody was like,
It was
that
the
can't be the
Pink
real story. I'm
Poodle.
like,
That's so
the real
disappointing.
story.
I think the first time you mentioned this in print, you didn't say strip club. I think you called it a.
Gentleman's Club.
No, you called it. It was like a dive bar or something, or some kind of a thing like
Yeah.
that. Like you kind of walked.
Actually,
around
it wasn't.
a
They
little bit.
couldn't serve liquor, as I remember, because
Oh, good.
you couldn't get a liquor license if you were a strip club.
Well, Dave Cutler wouldn't have liked it then, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
All right,
amazing.
moving
Yeah, no, I
on.
just
Why don't we have fun
Amazing
code
little
names like
slice of
that
history.
anymore?
I know.
Why? Like, why?
It's a great origin story. I love it.
Yep.
I've lost track. Should
We're in
we
hardware.
talk about HoloLens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Most
the
of this
Army.
stuff is not-
So I saw a rumor that the Army, like Microsoft, tested HoloLens again with soldiers, and they prepared everybody by saying they're not going to like it.
Right.
Is that true?
Remember that
Well,
scene
we
in the
don't know,
movie
but-
Starship Troopers where they're fighting insects and it's not going very well?
Yeah.
That's what HoloLens is like.
So they didn't actually say that, but I had read that they,
No,
they were
that was not-
telling
that's-
people,
we don't know.
that's a
get
fair-
ready because
They
we
might
know
have.
they're not going to like it.
So
They
there
might
was a
have
leaked
said that.
email obtained by Business Insider that they know they're going to be getting negative feedback from the customer, which is the U.S. Army. Soldiers don't like it. It has terrible low light
Surprising.
performance, terrible thermal imaging performance.
You know, if I were a soldier and I'm in a firefight and the thing doesn't
I
work,
know.
I'm not going to like it either.
Well, here's an
Yeah,
idea. Put this
exactly.
thing over your head
Yeah.
that includes
Blind yourself,
I mean, it's just
then
yeah,
run
it's
on
not
out
good.
there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we already knew this contract was in trouble because last fall the Army had to say they were postponing the deliverables date
Yeah,
on it. So
yeah.
there already was trouble, right? And
It's
now
also
this
worth
is just-
mentioning that some chunk of this team has left, right? That we talked about this
Yeah.
a month
Yeah.
or two ago. I don't remember, but
Right.
a lot of the guys, a lot of heavy hitters, wasn't Don Box part of this organization?
yeah.
Left the company and went to Meta or wherever.
Yeah. He went
So
to
there could be bigger. You know, Microsoft doesn't want to. Well, Alex Kipman came out and said everything was fine. Of course he did,
Yeah.
but I think there are some issues over there. So
Right. And this isn't a small contract, $22 billion over 10 years.
yeah,
So Microsoft really wants this to work, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going well. I think it's fair to say not going well
Not
is
going
definitely fair
well.
to say.
Yeah.
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Surface Go now has LTE. I'm glad to see that. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So actually, dude, this might be a new version of Surface Go 3 with LTE. I can't remember if there was already one, but anyway, it's it's $499. This is less expensive than the Wi-Fi only version of Surface Go 3, which is kind of curious. You know, it's Intel Pentium processor, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of eMMC storage, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, no, I guess there was a previous. I'm sorry. So there was a version before. I guess previously they were only making LTE available on the highest end version, which was that Core i3 version. So now you can get a lower end version of it, is what this is. So, did they ever ship the Surface Pro with LTE? I think they did. Surface Pro 8. That happened too, right? I think.
I think it did. I believe it did.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was confusing those two. And then just some firmware update stuff. Surface Laptop 3 with AMD got a firmware update. But more impressively, Surface Duo 2 has gotten both a firmware update and the March 2022 Android security update. So that's actually starting to happen on a reasonable schedule. And that wasn't always the case. So that's good. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But anyway, and then just very briefly, Dynabook, which is the company that now owns what used to be the Toshiba PC company, is releasing new laptops over the course of this month. So the first round was a set of Portages from early this month. Now they've got 2 new versions of their Tecra business class laptops, 14 and 15 inch, 12th gen P series, which is the 28 watt, more powerful version of those chips, and those are available now, roughly $1,000 and up. So nothing super dramatic. But this is my favorite story of the whole week. I've been waiting. Leo, did you change the picture to a chicken?
I did.
Yeah.
Get it?
You just
Playing
noticed that.
chicken?
Playing chicken.
That was a while ago.
I
friend.
think we need to have a theme for each one of our
I see. All right, no, that's
our
good.
Notion worksheets. I'm just saying.
I like it. It helps you distinguish which one it is.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, that's going to be.
I will allow it.
It will be. Yeah, you actually do have to approve it. It will be the way you find this from now on is you'll see a chicken.
I'll see the chicken, and I know.
And
it's
you'll know
chicken.
that the chicken and the
Plain
penthouse
chicken.
view, and you'll know that must be 769. Yep.
All right,
But it's not done.
Anyway,
we
I'm
could
sorry.
change it again.
No, I like it. I like it.
It's
It
kind
was a
of
beer glass before, I think.
well,
It was.
whiskey. Yeah.
A whiskey.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just into this. We don't have enough time to get into the full history of Google's path through tablets, but suffice to say, there was a period of time when mini tablets were kind of a big thing, 7, 8-inch tablets. There was the Nexus 7. Actually, there were 2 versions of the Nexus 7. Those were very popular. And then every other tablet they ever made just tanked. There was the Nexus 10, there was the Nexus 9, there was the Pixel C. And eventually, Google said, look, no one is writing apps for tablets on Android. They're just phone apps blown up to big screen. So why don't we do this instead? We'll put Chrome OS on tablets, and then you'll have that full screen experience with web apps and all that kind of stuff. And we'll let Chrome OS run Android apps. And for a few years, that seemed to be the strategy. But this past, I don't know, just 2-3 months, there are multiple examples of people from Google or job postings and whatever, where Google has decided, literally has explicitly said, tablets are the future of computing. And what they base this on is tablet sales uptick during the pandemic. It's kind of like Microsoft coming out and saying, hey guys, guess what? All that Azure stuff we've been doing that's fun, that's hilarious, that's the past. The future is Windows computers, because we sold a lot of them during the pandemic. And they are literally like, they did a 12L project to make Android work better on large screen and folding screen devices. Google had their gaming conference like Microsoft just did. They had theirs last week. They talked about this then. There's a job posting for a senior engineer of Android tablet app experience, where they said that the future of computing is shifting toward more powerful and capable tablets. Man, if only Microsoft had adopted the tablets like 20 years ago. What are you talking about? Anyway, so I don't know. Any thoughts on like tablets in the future, I guess?
Don't you think they're just doing this because of iPad or no?
Yeah, but iPad's been around for 12 years.
Yeah, but I mean,
in other words,
I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, so Apple's big success with the iPad was getting developers to adapt their apps to that form factor, right? They're not just stretched out iPhone apps. And, who knows, maybe one of the things Apple did originally was they let iPhone apps run, well, actually, they still work like this. You can run them in a little iPhone-sized thing in the middle, or you can double size them, but they look like an iPhone screen. It's terrible. So they don't stretch to fill the screen, like they're just terrible looking. So I think developers were like, okay, well, we're going to make apps, and obviously with that extra screen real estate, you can have multiple columns and different layouts and things. And iPad apps, honestly, are pretty great. Like they've done a great job with that. And on the Android side, you get like an app it just stretches out. So it looks terrible. It's all just laid out like a phone app. I think the interesting thing about 12L is, which works again on folding displays as well as big displays, is the OS itself tailors to this bigger screen. So they have multiple column for settings, and You can run two apps, snapped side by side, and even if they're just like phone apps, they look fine because they're just side by side. But it's just kind of interesting. Like they're like, forget everything we've ever done. The future is tablets. We're going all in, baby.
Yeah.
That's just funny.
It is weird because you guys both have talked about how terrible Android tablets are. I don't think I've ever even used one. I don't think I've ever even held one. Yeah. But
it's a software
The hardware has
issue.
gotten very good.
Yeah, it's not hardware. Just a software issue. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're doing what they can do, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did order that Samsung Note 8, but it hasn't come yet. I don't even know if it will.
It's beautiful. And, Samsung probably does some stuff with the UI. I'd rather see this come from Google, frankly. And actually, when Google announced 12L, I don't remember the list of device makers. Was Samsung even on the list?
I don't know, but that's what 12L was for, right? Was tablets.
Yeah. Well, Samsung's the only one making compelling
Google
tablets.
isn't.
And also foldables, actually, as it turns out.
Yeah.
You
know what I am excited about, though?
What's that?
I'm getting an Xbox Series X.
You are?
How'd that happen?
Anthony Nielsen, who already has several. It seems like the people who have them are the ones who find out, there's more to be bought. He said, hey, I have a Series X in my shopping cart at Walmart. You want it? I said, yes. Yes. So what game? I'm going to play Elden Ring, I think, on it. I already bought it and been playing it on the Xbox
Flight Simulator is the one you got to look at.
Which one?
Flight Sim.
Oh, the Flight Sim. Right, of course.
Yeah. Yep.
Do I have to get pedals?
Well, just look at it first. And then go down that rabbit hole, I guess. But yeah,
Srirachi knows it's Xbox time.
He does. He's getting all like, I'm out of here.
Give me some kibble. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's see what else. Yeah, I'm excited. Elden Ring's going to look very nice on it. Michael, our son, is playing it on a PlayStation 5, and it's gorgeous. And really, it's so annoying to me. Because it's the hardest game I've ever played. And he says, I'm almost done. I said, what? He said, well, actually, I could finish any time. There's just this one area of the map I haven't explored yet. So as soon as I get in there, it's like, dude.
Young people are the worst.
Dude. But then he says, but I don't play online PvP. There's people there who are so good. It's like, what? Now what?
my story like this. My son used to. I don't remember which version of Call of Duty it was, but one of the perks, one of the things you could get from like a 25 kill streak, was like a nuclear bomb, and it would just end the game.
Nice.
So what he did was he got a 25 kill streak, didn't use it, killed himself, then got another 25 kill streak and got a second one because he wanted to see what happened when he had two. So I was like, I've never gotten one, by the way. I've never once, never,
I thought I'd get another one just to see what happens when you have two nukes.
So I was like, what happens? And he goes, oh, well, you sent off the first one and the game ends because at the game.
You blew everything up.
So it's like you had one in reserve.
I do have to ask you, I saw, and I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, and it can't be true. Mm-hmm. Is Snoop Dogg coming to Call of Duty?
Yes, he is to Warzone. Yeah, season whatever it is.
I thought I must be hallucinating.
The one thing that was missing in this game was like a 60-year-old former rap star.
That's the most bizarre. Lisa, for weeks, Lisa and I both are saying, is Snoop Dogg everywhere now? Is he like...
He is.
He's everywhere. He's doing ads with Martha Stewart. He's got a show with Martha Stewart. He was at the Super Bowl. Now he's in Call of Duty. For crying out loud.
I know. It's like he's become a respected elder statesman of whatever.
Is it the gin and juice mod? I mean, what does he do in it?
I don't know. It's the Warzone part of the game. It's the Battle Royale. Wow. I assume what that means is you can...
He's the bus driver, maybe.
Get a skin and look like Snoop Dogg in the game or something like that.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
He's trying to find his quarter. Let's do the Xbox segment. Mary Jo Foley, you are on hiatus. Enjoy. And Paul Thurrott.
We're in that awkward C week of the month, so there isn't a lot related to regular releases. But Activision Blizzard had a regulatory filing this week that noted that the U.S. Federal Trade Commission has asked them for more information about the proposed acquisition by Microsoft. So there's no understanding of what they were asking for exactly. It's not. We knew that this was going to get a lot of regulatory scrutiny. We knew this because the target date for this is the end of Microsoft's fiscal year in June next year, not this June. So we know this is going to take a while. And there's a huge number of regulatory bodies that are right now examining this explicitly. The ones that we know about are the U.S. Department of Justice, the FTC, European Commission, the UK Competition and Markets Authority, and the China State Administration for Market Regulation. Just in case you thought video games weren't important. So anyway, that's, I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's still going to go through, but there you go. Hey, do you have a Steam Deck, by the way, Leo? Did you get one? He's gone. Nobody's there. All right, he left. So Microsoft added support for to what? To Xbox Cloud Gaming, to Valve Steam Deck.
I was playing with my Steam Deck.
No, that's okay.
You ask me something?
Do you have a Steam Deck?
No.
Oh.
I ordered. I'm on the pre-order list.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be getting an Xbox One X. Come on, get a Series X. Give me a break, man.
Well, I'm
Do you have a Steam Deck?
No, no, but no, I don't know.
I don't know if I need one. I have a Nintendo Switch.
I have to wear like readers just to see.
I know.
I don't know.
No, I'm happy. I'm going to be playing my.
But I'm interested. I mean, I like the idea of it, right? So
Yeah.
this thing, it's Linux based, as we know. I think last week we talked about the idea that we can now put Windows on there if you want that for some reason. It's a handheld gaming device, yada yada. It plays PC games basically. But now you can play Xbox Cloud Gaming games via Microsoft's Edge browser on this thing, right? Because it's Linux, it supports Microsoft Edge. So that's available if you want that. That's kind of the nice thing about
How do
this.
they play? Do they play well, I wonder?
It's streamed.
It's streaming, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll probably be okay.
I think that's kind of silly to buy a fancy, expensive, high-end gaming device and then do something you could do on a phone.
Okay, so I would just say that the nice thing about the Steam Deck is that it's a PC, so it supports this wide range of things, and this is another choice. I mean, I suppose you could well, I don't know how that works. If you put Windows on it, you could probably do like the Microsoft stuff. Obviously, you could do Epic Games. It obviously works with Steam, per the name out of the box. And Valve has done a good job of getting Linux compatible titles into Steam. So that's this is kind of the end game, I guess, for that kind of thing. But
that's the best thing.
I don't know, it's just another option. It's not a closed system, right? So you can.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's another option.
Yeah, it's a PC, handheld PC.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier. Mary Jo, curiously, was talking earlier about what Microsoft is doing with Azure in the game space through a developer conference they just had today or yesterday, I guess today. Microsoft had one last Tuesday. It was called the Google for Games Developer Summit. If you want to be put to sleep, I strongly recommend watching the keynote. I've watched it twice, and it works every time. But I watched it for a reason, because there's been a lot of speculation about what's going on with Stadia, and also some questions about this Google Play games for PC thing that Google's doing without Microsoft's help. And on that latter note, that's they have now come out and said it's high performance emulation, so we kind of get that. But what's going on with Stadia? So Google is doing what it can to improve Stadia for end users, which makes sense, making it easier for developers to port to this thing, yada, yada, yada. But the more interesting thing, perhaps, is that they're also doing, which is something that I actually recommended 15 months ago-ish, which is they're going to make the Stadia backend available to third parties through a new service. So it's basically, if you have an individual game and you just want to make it available to customers this way, or if you're a game studio or a game publisher or whatever it is, you can use the Stadia backend, or you can license it now from Google going forward. It's called Immersive Stream for Games. There was a thing that AT&T did a year ago where they made Batman Arkham Knight available for free to AT&T mobile carrier subscribers. Funny, or not funny, it's not funny, but ironically, it only worked over Wi-Fi because AT&T is terrible, but actually they've expanded that to support 5G this week. So anyway, that's an interesting future for Stadia. I think it makes sense.
That's
and I think
hysterical. You couldn't, wait a minute.
I know.
AT&T offered it, but you had to use Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so it came from AT&T, but it would only work over Wi-Fi.
Wow.
Now it works over 5G as well. Although you got to know it sucks up your data, right? So honestly, you're better off using Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So I think this is the type of thing when you hear about Xbox game cloud gaming, you're like, great, this is an excellent yes, you should do this. But Microsoft does have this Azure backend, and they have a deal with Sony possibly to host their next online, whatever their PS Now follow-up is called, or whatever it is, PS now, I think it's called. And they're doing ID at Azure, and they're gonna bring this to indie developers as well. So I think it's interesting that both Google and Microsoft, which both have incredible infrastructure, cloud infrastructure, and have this video game investment, are going to make this stuff available to third parties as well, which I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's not dead.
Yeah, I am too. Honestly, I mean, from a pure quality perspective, I haven't used it in a while now, but I mean, in my experience, Stadia was the highest quality cloud
of all of them.
Game.
It's the best, huh?
Yeah, of all of them. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. I mean, I love the idea, and I have a Stadia account, and I just got the new Amazon thing, whatever that is.
Yeah, if you use that with that
Luna.
controller, actually, that's good too. But I think the games, they have over 200 games on Stadia. It's a nice selection.
Yeah. Robot in our Discord has a Steam Deck, actually, and he likes it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He plays Grand Theft Auto 5, Rocket League, Fallout 4. He says the buttons are similar to the Xbox Elite controller, so he likes the idea with Game Pass.
It's the new Atari Lynx.
Yeah. I would think that the screen's just too small. I mean, I play games on a 55-inch display.
7, 9
I think
inches.
it's 7 inches.
8 inches. 7, yeah. Yeah, it's better than a phone for sure.
Yeah,
you know
that's true. And a younger generation that's been playing on a phone won't feel cramped.
That's right. They'll think it's an IMAX or something,
right?
By comparison,
it's surround. It's all around me.
Immersive.
All right, is that it for Xboxy?
That's it. I'm sorry. Mary Jo stole the big story from me.
Yes.
Still alive.
Yes. Well, let's do a little mention of our sponsor for this segment because the back of the book is coming up, brought to you by Progress. Progress has been enabling enterprise experiences for decades and has assembled the technologies that will empower business to thrive in a post-COVID world. Most companies don't have the resources to invest in technology. Not like the digital Goliaths anyway. They need to use technology to create a differentiation, of course, but with a smaller investment. Well, you can do that with Progress. Use Progress as your trusted provider. With Progress, any organization can achieve the level of differentiation that's critical in today's business environment. Whether you're an IT professional concerned about networking and infrastructure, security and compliance, or you want to enable web and digital experiences, Progress has a solution for you. Like MoveIt, their managed file transfer. MoveIt provides control, security, and visibility over all file transfer activities. It's crazy to transfer confidential data. Tax time's coming up, for instance. I still have, accounts want to email your tax returns. That's not a good idea. And it might even open your organization to liabilities. With a managed file transfer solution, you gain insight into who has access to the files, when and if the file was accessed. That's great. That's gold. Speaking of gold, what's up? Gold Network Monitoring allows you to monitor networks, applications, and devices, both in the cloud and on-prem. But that's not all. Progress also has Kemp Loadmaster Balancer, next-generation load balancing and application delivery solution for private, public, and hybrid cloud. They have Flowmon, everybody's favorite network intelligence tool. It's a network performance monitoring and network detection and response solution. Sitefinity, their digital experience platform, helps you build digital experiences across channels that improve business agility and foster personal relationships with visitors. It's the kind of thing you need, your organization needs, at a price you will like. Progress has the technology you need to secure, analyze, and integrate your applications, network, and processes. Find out more. Download a free trial. Progress.com/twit. Don't miss out. Visit Progress, PROGRESS.com/twit for your very own Progress swag bag. It's waiting for you. Progress.com/twit. Thank you, Progress, for sponsoring the back of the book. Paul Thurrott's turn to play chicken with his tip of the week.
Yeah, so with Microsoft releasing the same build to both the dev and the beta channels, and more importantly, giving us a temporary window to switch back and forth between dev and beta, which again is something I think they only had done one time before, back in last summer, I guess. So the question now is, well, you have an out, I guess. Should you take it? And I guess that kind of depends on where your head's at. I have been using the dev channel for the book because I want to time it with. I want it to have the new features. Like I don't want to do it now and then do it again, 3 months from now or whatever. And I'm actually starting to think that maybe the beta channel, now that they're kind of in the same place, might be the better place for me to focus, because that's more indicative of what we are going to see in the next feature update, right? I mean, but it's kind of a personal thing. You still can't get out of the Windows Insider program, right? If you're in the dev or the beta channel, you can't go back to stable, right? I hope that changes in the future, but there's more of a chance of that happening with the beta channel, if that makes sense, because the dev channel is always going to push forward. But you may still have to do a clean install if you want to get out. It's like the mob. Every time you try to get out, they keep pulling you back in. I don't know. But I think I'm going to, it's complicated for me. I'm going to have to keep multiple machines around on each, because I don't know what to trust. But anyway, you do have an out. So it's a temporary window, a magic window, as we say.
Get there before it slams.
That's right.
Is it your experience that the dev channel is pretty stable? I mean, that would be my only concern.
Well, yeah, but okay, mostly. I've actually had some green screens this past week on dev. That's not typical, but this is sort of like the conversation we had about the watermark on an unsupported PC in Windows 11. If you're technical enough to be doing this thing we're talking about, I mean, that shouldn't bother you too much. I wouldn't go on a trip with just a dev machine laptop, I guess is maybe the way I would qualify that. But
that's reasonable. Yeah. But you can use it as a production machine as long as you have a fallback.
I do. Yeah.
And you press Command S, Control S a lot. Or whatever it is on Windows. F5, Shift Alt.
It is Control S.
Oh, okay.
If you're saving to OneDrive, it's automatic. You don't have to worry about it.
Nice.
I still do it compulsively. We just talked about OneNote and how we've been using this thing for at least 12 years, and every single week, add stuff to the notes, or maybe I'm talking to someone, like I'm doing a meeting with someone and I'm taking notes. I compulsively hit Control S in OneNote, and it doesn't do anything. There is no saving in OneNote. I can't stop doing it.
It's muscle memory. That's pretty funny.
No, you're broken like that. You just get so used to it. Compulsively saving all the time. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So app pick of the week. This is kind of an oldie but a goodie. But I bring up new machines all the time, and I was just thinking about this. Every time I bring up a new Windows machine, what typically happens is I have some list of apps that I know I need, right? I mean, Office, etc. Notion now, is one of them. Affinity Photo is something I use every day, for example. And then I tend to install things as they're needed, right? So, Wednesday rolls around, it's like, oh, I got to record Windows Weekly. I need Zoom, obviously. I got to go get that before, not at 1 minute of 2, hopefully, or whatever. But I try to, that's how my brain works. Like when I need it, I kind of install it. The app that I install that I like the most and I use every single day, honestly, is Greenshot. This is a screenshot utility. I know there are a lot of them. People talk about like ShareX, for example, which is a store app. This is a desktop app. You get it on the web. Just search for Greenshot, screenshot. It's free. It works amazingly well. It does all the keyboard combinations. I have it short-circuiting the Windows, the print screen key. So if I do just print screen, it takes a screenshot of the entire screen. All print screen does the current window. Control print screen does whatever selection I want it to do, et cetera. So auto saves the format that I want. I love it. Like I honestly don't know what I would do without it. Like I really, really like this utility. So something to check out if you need to take screenshots.
It's not a screenshot. It's a green shot.
It's a green shot. That's right, because it's environmentally friendly, too, for some reason.
Is it? No.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Sounds good, though.
Enterprise pick of the week, Mary Jo Foley.
Okay, this is a very obscure enterprise pick, just to forewarn people, but there's a reason I made it the pick. So Microsoft's doing a lot of work in research and internally on applying AI technologies to some of their services in the cloud to make them work faster, work better, be more efficient. And they've been very focused lately on trying to make Translator work better and be a better product. Though they say there was an update they applied this week to Translator that they say will improve the quality of the machine translations and also help the service support more than just the regular old languages that people always have trained data sets for. So they're trying to extend the amount of languages supported and also improve the quality of the translations. If you're somebody who really gets into like, how does this work though? And is it, just don't say add AI and stir. Like if you really want to get into it, there are some resources they made available this week. And I'm going to tell you what to search for to find some of these. They have a project called XYZ Code Project. So if you do a search for that, it combines models for text, vision, audio, and languages to create systems that can better speak, hear, see, and understand. So you can really kind of get into seeing where Microsoft's going with some of its cognitive services and AI technologies when they're used in combination. Then they have this other thing. I'm not even going to try to explain this because it's really complicated, but you can look it up if you want to try to delve into this. It's called Z Code. Z Code uses this thing called the mixture of experts approach. I'm not even going to try, again, to define that or explain that. I read the research post on this like 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to point people to it and say, if you want to know more, go over there. Because I know I cannot do it justice. But the reason I made this the enterprise pick is I think it's very interesting that Microsoft isn't just saying, okay, Translator, it's good enough. And, it's working and it's fine. They're really doing a lot of things under the covers to make this service work better. And the last time I used Google Translate when I was in Japan, I was amazed how good it was. I didn't even try to use like Microsoft Translator. But now I'm curious kind of how these things compare and if Microsoft Translator is getting as good as Google Translate is. So it's going to be interesting to watch how they evolve this over time.
Yeah, it's kind of this mixture of experts thing's kind of interesting.
It is, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't really explain it because I'm not in that field, but it's got a lot of different moving parts. And you can read many research papers and blog posts about this if you think you might be interested.
It's, it's fascinating to learn about the strategies
Yes.
AI uses to kind of be more human. It's hard. Mm-hmm. And I can only understand it at a very, very high level. But I think it's interesting trying to solve these problems. Enterprise pick number 2.
Okay, this is much more of a mundane enterprise pick. So Microsoft announced recently a whole skilling campaign in the United States to try to up the number of cybersecurity professionals available for companies to hire. They were working with community colleges, doing some things around Microsoft Learn to create new coursework that people could access for free. And today they announced they're expanding this program to 23 more countries. So this is like all free goodness. Like if you're somebody who is thinking, I'm kind of bored in my career, I want to kind of trade up into something that's more interesting and more lucrative, cybersecurity is a great place to be focused. And now the countries that they've expanded this to, they range from like Brazil, Canada, Denmark, Mexico, Paul, you could study this while you're in Mexico.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Finally.
UK, all like a lot more countries are involved in this now. So you get there's like all this free coursework from Microsoft Learning. There's 47 learning paths, hundreds of hours of content. Microsoft also is working with schools, especially with community colleges. The Learn for Educators program, they're giving them all this training and tools and trying to help the whole, not just the U.S., but the whole world bolster the number and types of security professionals that are available for companies to hire. So I think it's pretty cool that they're doing this.
Neat.
Yeah.
Neat.
And if you're somebody who thinks like, that would be pretty interesting, and I've just been put off because of the expense and all that, most of this is free. So there you go.
All right. Beer time, everybody. Beer me.
Okay, this is a pretty cool beer project. A lot of the beer community likes to rally around causes and come up with creative ways to support different communities through beer. So right now, the Ukraine is on everyone's mind. And there is a beer project called Resolve. Resolve Freedom is the name of it. They have their own website even that you can go and check out. It's connected with this thing called Global Empowerment Mission. And the Resolve Collaboration Beer is helping to fund emergency aid inside Ukraine to the fighters, the families that stay behind, humanitarian aid to women and children who are trying to cross the border to Poland. So how do they do this? They get breweries to sign up to make this beer. They give them the recipe and they say, here's the recipe for this Keller beer. And Keller beer, if you've never had it, is a German lager type beer. It's neither clarified nor pasteurized, which makes it something kind of a little more interesting than your usual lager. The breweries commit, they make it, they put the label on the cans, and then the sales of this beer go to this Global Empowerment Mission project. They're signing up breweries all over the U.S. So if you see something called Resolve Freedom, that's the beer that's doing that's part of the support organization.
And it's an open source recipe, so
yes,
anybody can make
Source recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they just say, here's the recipe, here's how you make it if you want to make something
so cool.
based on this.
Have you tried it yet?
I have not, but one of my local breweries has it, and I've got to try one. KCBC.
What are the comments like in the code?
Like how they are.
Weird.
No. It's not that kind. It's just like a cooking recipe. So
Yeah. It's not that kind of open
Yeah.
source. It's more like we just give people the recipe instead of like keeping the recipe secret and private, like most,
and they
like
actually one of the designers is from Ukraine. Is from Kiev or Kyiv. So that's
Kyiv,
cool.
right?
Kyiv.
Yeah.
Or Kyiv, actually. Kyiv.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. So, but there's a list of all the participating breweries, so you can see if you can get it from your favorite. And
they're adding more every day. It's all over the U.S. It started out mostly. It looks like it started out heavily in New York, but it seems to be expanding beyond New York.
Well, now Hungary and the UK and all over. Our local Danville Brewery. Danville Brewing Company has it, so I'm going to try it there. That's really great. Really neat. Resolve. And the website is resolveukrainebeer.com, right? Did I get that right? Let me make sure I got it right. Resolveukrainebeer.com, yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you, Paul.
Welcome.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you. That concludes this thrilling, gripping edition of Windows Weekly. We do Windows Weekly every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Now we are on summertime, so we sprung forward. So that means we're UTC minus 7. So we are now doing it at 1800 UTC. But you can find out all about that by just going to the website, twit.tv/WW. If you do want to watch live, there's a live stream at the website, live.twit.tv, chat live at irc.twit.tv, or in the Club Twit Discord. Always a lot of fun there. You're doing a fireside chat in a week, Paul.
In a week?
I think maybe I'm wrong. I think it's the 31st. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Let me see. 3 events coming up
soon.
It is next week.
It's next week. I'm glad I mentioned
Thursday.
it. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., Stacey Higginbotham's book club, Unauthorized Bread, will be the book by Cory Doctorow. It's a novella. You could read it right now. I can tell Ant's writing these because he writes Mrs. Stacey Higginbotham.
Yeah. He calls me Miss Mary Jo.
Miss Mary Jo. I love it. Mr. Paul Thurrott will be doing his Ask Me Anything on March 31st. Jeff Jarvis has just been booked, brand new one, Fireside Chat on the 14th. All of that's available to members of Club Twit. Club Twit helps support the network development of new shows like This Week in Space, the first Club Twit generated show. We also do the Untitled Linux show, the Giz Fizz, Stacy's Book Club, lots of other stuff, thanks to members like you. So if you're not a member, go to twit.tv/clubtwit, $7 a month, ad-free versions of all the shows, all those special events, the Twit Plus feed. There's and our eternal thanks. And we really appreciate it. So please join Club Twit, twit.tv/clubtwit. Of course, we still offer the show free if you go to twit.tv/WW. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to Windows Weekly. You can subscribe in your favorite podcast player and get it automatically, and leave us a 5-star review. That's another way you can show your appreciation for the hard work Paul and Mary Jo put in each and every week. I think Notion worked well.
I do too.
I was able to put in a
Same.
chicken.
Stick of dynamite was in there at one point.
Yeah. I'm just, because it's a dynamite show. So fun. But I can't wait to see. When is that Microsoft event? It's next.
April 5th.
Okay, so it's a little ways away.
Yep.
As we get closer, let me know if you think we should stream it.
Yeah, we still don't have any
Are they gonna stream
leaks
it?
or anything. Yeah, they'll stream it.
They'll
It's
stream
open to the public.
I think we kind of maybe should.
Yeah, we'll know.
Yeah.
We'll know.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mary Jo. Thanks to all of you dozers. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.
Did you spend a lot of money on your brand new smartphone and then you look at the pictures on Facebook or Instagram and you're like, what in the world happened to that photo? Yes, you have. I know. It happens to all of us. Well, you need to check out my show, Hands On Photography, where I'm going to walk you through simple tips and tricks that are going to help make you get the most out of your smartphone camera or your DSLR or mirrorless, whatever you have. And those shots are going to look so much better. I promise you. So make sure you're tuning in to twit.tv/hop for Hands On Photography to find out more.